Roman is the biggest bad guy character in professional wrestling.
When's the last time you got laid?
French toast is the exchange student that you have like a 3-week affair with.
Like, we can see that you don't have pants on.
Can we tell the truth about Dusty sooner or later?
Less people wanted that than are currently watching our stream.
And you know Vince, and you still think, are these true? It's like...
Welcome to the Mark It Down podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Mark It Down podcast. My name is Nick Cummings, joined tonight by Matt Cascone and James Asante. Back here to review once again AEW Dynamite. This week we were in Boston for big business. I wonder what that could mean. And we started off with a tease as Renee Paquette was running down the show. Backstage, we had a Maybach Mercedes-Benz pull up, the car door open, but we did not see who came out. We then went out to Excalibur, who did all the introductions, and then we finally had the debut of Mercedes Moné, the official debut of Mercedes Moné in AEW. She comes out to new music, to CEO chants with her new moniker.
New music.
It's
new music. Yeah, that's the rhythm. That's the rhythm there.
You could have just moved past it. We get it. You're the cool guy with those glasses on. We get it, but you didn't need to shame me.
Had to get it right. Anyway, Mercedes comes down to the ring and finally starts by announcing that she is home, and she begins thanking the fans for sticking with her through all of her highs, all of her lows, and everything in between. After recapping her life story and how she got into wrestling and everything, including a very obvious shout out to one Eddie Guerrero, Mercedes finally gets to the reason why she joined AEW. She said she wants and she needs to be here because it's the only place where she can take this revolution that she helped start to the world and have it be global. She then turns her attention to the main event, which is Willow Nightingale versus Riho, and she reminds everyone that her and Willow have some unfinished business. And then she finishes up by announcing she is officially All Elite. James, this pop was huge. I'm really happy to see Mercedes in AEW. The matchups and everything, that's something we'll obviously talk about probably for weeks. But in the short term, huge pop. I like the music. It's kind of like a rap remix of whatever symphony Gunther was using.
Right?
It is. I'm pretty sure it's the same symphony. The promo was kind of your standard, hey, I'm here, from Mercedes, but I'm happy she's here, and this was more of a moment than the promo itself.
Absolutely. What could she say that hasn't already been said before? What could she say that was going to shock us or wow us? No. What matters is, like you said, this was a moment. She got emotional in that ring. The fans were 100%, 110% behind her. They were chanting CEO, CEO. They were in for her, man. It's been 2 years since we've seen her on American TV. We know she's been doing stuff in Japan. She did stuff for New Japan. She did stuff for Stardom. That was great. And I'm so happy that she got to do that because she was killing it. And it was what sort of did set the launch for Mercedes Moné here in AEW. But she's back, man. I can tell you, this isn't a bandwagon thing. I genuinely mean this. I 100% have always felt this way. She's always been my favorite of the 4 horsewomen. I love Becky, and I think Becky is one of the biggest stars on the planet. Bayley is amazing. And hell, I'll give Charlotte her just dessert. She's an incredible athlete. But I think Mercedes has just everything. I think she's incredible in the ring. I think she's a good promo. She's got incredible charisma. She's got the look. She's always had the fan support. And I'm just so happy. Whether she was going to go back to WWE, which she did say in an interview, expect her back there eventually at some point, or coming to AEW, I'm just happy she's back on TV, no matter the channel. So this was an incredible moment. She referenced stuff like her past feud, her past match, I should say, with Willow Nightingale. She kind of staked her claim as to what's coming next. And quite frankly, the big thing here is, and this was, in my opinion, a recurring theme throughout the night. And it's something that I feel like AEW has been struggling with for a while. Everybody that was highlighted tonight felt super important. Mercedes felt like a meteor that just hit the women's division in AEW. It feels like a big deal that she's here. So I'm all for this. I'm so excited. And Matt, I want to hear what you have to say, even though I need you to hear this. You're wrong and I disagree with you. But I'm happy. I am happy. So bring it on.
Yeah, no, we definitely have differences of opinions. Right off the bat, something she could have said that would have surprised us. She would never say it, but to me, it popped in my head immediately. She could have been like, "Fuck John Laurinaitis," you know?
Yeah,
that would have made me happy. But obviously,
on TV, that's what we should all expect.
Yes,
don't think the bosses at Warner Brothers Discovery would have appreciated that one.
Just fly off the handle. No, it was interesting. I liked the beginning of the show. It felt like a different kind of thing that they would normally do. I mean, we saw WWE doing some different kind of camera angles and like shots that I think were kind of unsuccessful on Monday. I liked this with the car. It made no sense though, because then she's immediately in the ring. You know what I mean? It's just like she's getting out of the car. Okay, we can't show that. But then she's in the ring like a minute later. I wonder if it would have been better to have some more anticipation, like, you know, build it up a little bit more throughout the night. And hear me out. Like, I think what they did was fine. And also I think it's the safer way to go, because like, I think of Punk coming to Rampage, they couldn't hold it off because the entire night people would have been chanting CM Punk. I question, everyone was there to see Mercedes Moné, but would they have hijacked the show if she hadn't shown up immediately? Would they have gone into that first match, and would the crowd have been chanting Mercedes, Mercedes, Mercedes? I want to say I don't think so. I feel like I could trust the Boston crowd to, like, you know, be patient. It's coming. And she does come out later in the night too. So again, difference of opinion. Happy to see her regardless. Wasn't a huge fan of her music. I mean, she even said it. She said, "Let's get down to business." I'm like, the Eminem song is right there. Why couldn't we have gotten that? Tony Khan, you spent on licensed music. We could have gotten Business by Eminem. We could have gotten a random Snoop Dogg song. Like, I'm not a fan of the song, but, you know, the nickname's cool. People are into the nickname. And, you know, can't wait to see her compete. The other weird thing about having her talk right off the bat is they're saying next week we're going to hear from her again. So it's like, we're doing. I mean,
admittedly, they did the same thing in AEW with Punk too. They had him. They kept every week highlighting, "We'll hear from CM Punk next week on Dynamite or next week on Rampage."
Sell tickets.
Exactly. Until she has her first match, whenever that will be, they're going to keep hyping.
Dynasty.
Expect to see her next week.
I would say the difference there. Sorry, go.
No, just 1 second. I need to have a sidebar with Rev real quick. Can you just earmuffs real quick? Just real quick. Rev, this guy sucks. He's wait. Hey, you're supposed to earmuff. You're supposed to earmuff.
I can read lips. No, I was going to say the difference with Punk is that Punk was gone for so long, like from wrestling, so you could keep milking that. Like, I've got so many stories to tell over the last 7 years. Mercedes, she's been gone from American wrestling for like what, 2 years? Just under.
Yeah, we're approaching like 2 years, or let's just say 2 years. Let's just say give or take.
So again, not the direction I would have necessarily gone with. I would have gone with some alternatives, but it wasn't bad by any means.
But I mean, do you also recognize that Mercedes Moné is bigger than CM Punk ever was or ever will be?
In Boston, sure.
I'm wearing a Punk shirt. I'm wearing a Punk shirt.
Honestly, you might actually be right. Mercedes has a lot more crossover.
She does have
Tumblr, Disney.
She does have a WrestleMania main event. So
damn.
You missed Monday's show. We did a whole thing with. I don't agree. I think Saturday counts as a main event, but we did a whole thing. If you watched Monday's show, They made me do the air quotes for.
No, I
Because
watch
it's
even
Seth.
when I can't be on. I watch my team. I watch my team. But all right, all things considered, this is whether or not we agree with the execution, whether or not we agree with certain details of the story. Rev, I gotta say, I think nobody could disagree that this feels like a big deal that she's here.
It does, to the point where I'm still wearing these these glasses, even though I'm dizzy as fuck. Okay. No, it's obviously it's a huge deal. I mean, she's the first one of the 4 horsewomen to break out from WWE, and now excuse me, $5. And now she's not only shown up in a different company because she's done that before, but she's shown up in a different American company, which is a huge deal. It's obviously a very big coup for Tony Khan. It's a very big coup for the women's division because they have gotten, the biggest injection I think they've had since maybe, I guess, really Saraya, but she didn't really wrestle all that much. I think Mercedes is going to be wrestling a lot more. So this is huge for everybody, throughout that locker room and throughout the company. I'm really excited she's here. I do have to agree with Matt. I kind of like the New Japan music. It's been stuck in my head all day. The one that sounds like Crisscross. Yeah. So I don't hate this music, though. I think they perfectly baked in the CEO chant to it. Even as they were going off the air, they cut the music and the crowd was still chanting it at, raucously. And I know Boston Garden gets really loud, or TD Garden, whatever. It's Boston Garden. It gets really loud in there, but it really does work. Even if you don't like it, I'm sure it'll grow on you. It works, and I think everything about her presentation coming in here was perfect. I thought they did it very, very well.
No, I agree. I agree. So, yay. CEO in town, baby. I think the biggest thing for me too, and I do want to get to the rest of the show because I love this episode of Dynamite.
Stacked show.
I think the biggest thing is I'm just happy the speculation is over. There were WWE fans, or I should say, there were tribal WWE fans who were swearing up and down she was still going to make her way back to WWE before ever stepping foot in AEW. And this isn't me saying, haha, you guys are wrong. It's just more, I'm just glad she landed somewhere, and I'm glad that all the arguing online, at least this part of the topic, is over. The next part of the topic will be, oh man, how could she have gone to AEW? I guess she doesn't care about her career, and somebody's gonna say that. But
and then it will be, oh, she sucks in AEW and she's not being booked right and she needs to go back. Yeah. Meanwhile, SRS has been taking a fucking victory lap since about 8 p.m. tonight.
That guy should be running around naked, drinking booze, drinking champagne,
and a little bit of the bubbly.
A little bit of the bubbly. Just screaming his head off, chanting, "I'm a winner."
Oh, it was honestly. I was on Twitter, when it happened, she came out, and I couldn't find any other comments because he was just getting everybody all the way back from like December. He deserves to do it, but it's always funny when he gets a little petty like that.
Yeah, I know, absolutely.
All right, we can talk a little bit more about Mercedes later in the show, and obviously for a lot longer because there are matchups galore that we're going to have to talk about. But let's move on to our next segment as we went backstage to an interview with Samoa Joe as we began to set up his title match with Wardlow. So they did a quick recap of last week as Swerve and Joe beat the Kingdom, and then Joe ended up choking out Swerve. And then we went backstage with Renee, where she asked about his upcoming match with Wardlow. Joe tells her that he hasn't forgotten what happened last time they were in the ring, and Joe says that Wardlow's comeuppance has been long overdue. We then went immediately into a promo package for Wardlow. With this, it was literal story time with Adam Cole, baby. The man opened a storybook like it was the beginning of Shrek and began to tell the story of a warrior who had been lied to by an evil devil. Eventually, he broke away from the devil and was adorned with gold, but something was still missing. The warrior then found a group of men who wanted to vanquish the devil as much as he did, and they were able to come together and do so. This allowed the warrior to rise up and fight a beast for the greatest prize in the kingdom so that he can bring it back to his new friends, and then he slayed the beast and brought the prize to his king. The end. I'm stopping here. this is the best thing the Kingdom's done since they've been a group.
Well, this is a classic Adam Cole trope. It's something that if you've been following his career long enough, he did it in NXT. He did it way back in Ring of Honor, and it always works. It's always awesome because they don't typically overuse it.
Right, and hopefully they don't. Although I guess the Kingdom kind of works if they continue that metaphor out with more storybooks and fairy tales. But I guess if you want to keep it special, like you said, James, maybe don't overuse it too much.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But good stuff. Good. Cole is great. Cole is great. I do understand people getting a little tired of Cole from time to time because he is essentially the same character he's been for the last decade. And I like that character. It's a great character. Quite frankly, it's a championship character, but it's also the same character for the last decade if you've been a fan of his. There hasn't really been much change. I think the best change that we've seen from him when he was actually best buddies with MJF.
Agreed.
Yeah. Also, Matt, God bless you.
Thank you. I muted myself,
No, I appreciate that, but I still, I just want to get that for you. Let's head into that actual match, which obviously saw Samoa Joe versus Wardlow for the AEW World Championship. I will skip to the end here, where after he faked a knee injury, Wardlow was able to use that distraction from the referee to gouge Joe's eyes, and then he hit the drop knee strike in the corner, and Joe was able to kick out of that, and that is the first time anyone has been able to kick out of that drop knee. Joe then dodged a Senton Atomico and went for the punches in the corner, up on the second rope. But Wardlow was able to power him up and hit a power bomb. Wardlow then took the straps down and was thinking about going for the power bomb symphony, but Joe was able to sweep out the leg and get Wardlow down. And when he went in for the kill, Wardlow was able to use his legs, shove Joe up, and get up. Wardlow then hit the ropes going for a lariat, but Joe was able to duck it, jump up onto Wardlow's back, and lock in the coquina clutch, where he was eventually able to take down Wardlow and force him to pass out and Joe was able to retain his AEW World Championship. After the match, Swerve Strickland came out with Prince Nana, chain in hand, surrounded by security, and he was able to fight through them and get to the ring. However, he took so long, Joe pretty much just rolled out and waltzed his way up the ramp, where he then kicked one of the down security guards off the ramp as he was leaving.
That was great.
Which was absolutely great, as security continued to prevent Swerve from going chasing after him while he was still in the ring. Matt, this was a tight match. I think I saw it was only about 8 minutes and 30 seconds, but good hoss battle. I liked it for what it was, but I mentioned this when Wardlow won and he challenged so quickly. That kind of killed the entire point of what Wardlow was doing. Yep. So now I'm a little concerned about where Wardlow goes from here.
I agree. I think it felt rushed. Also, on paper, I feel like it doesn't make sense to have this match be first. I thought, and maybe you guys think this as well, I thought there would be shenanigans at the end of the match, and that would be like, when you have like a big title match and it's not the main event, like when CM Punk took on Jon Moxley, it was like early on, it's like, this isn't the right placement for this match. Some kind of shenanigans, bullshit must be going on. And that's what ensued. That didn't happen here.
Was that the Punk hurt his leg one?
Yes.
Yes.
So that
Rocky 3.
Yes, my best Rocky. It kind you saw me. I rolled my eyes.
Okay.
To our listeners, I rolled my eyes at the Rocky 3 being the best Rocky, but I digress. So it just, I guess they subverted expectations by not doing that, but still it felt rushed. This whole angle feels rushed. The match was fine. I liked when Wardlow kind of pump faked him for the dive and Joe got out of the way, but then, he ends up hitting Joe. So that was fun. And I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens next for Wardlow in this story with the Kingdom. But as far as tonight is concerned, I felt this part of the show was less than satisfying.
That's fair. I like I said, I thought the match itself was fine. It did its job. I think, and I've heard this a lot, if you're not going to close the show, open the show. And I know they're technically following Mercedes, but being the first match on the card is still a big deal. And considering what they had planned later, I think this was a good spot for the title match, especially because the crowd was still really hot coming off their Mercedes debut. So the crowd actually put a lot into this. They were really excited all night, and they got a great show. They were deservingly excited. But James, I think I kind of stole the take from you. This kills the Wardlow. Like, it was way too early for this, and I'm very confused as to why they did it, other than to just get a title match on the card here.
I am a Wardlow fan, so being his fan means to no pain. I think he is such a tremendous talent, and quite frankly, I think he's been on the run of his career since the Kingdom has started, or since he's joined the Kingdom, I should say. I had no real expectations of him becoming champion facing Joe. But I will say, considering the placement of this match immediately following Mercedes, I had a moment where I thought maybe it's possible. Maybe. Because if you're going to follow, no doubt, Mercedes debuting is the biggest thing of the night. So if you're going to follow the biggest thing of the night, and presumably that's when you're going to have the most viewers, that's when you're going to have the most people watching your product, follow up with something equally as big, and a title change would be a great way of doing that. So I thought maybe we, especially bringing back to the CM Punk John Moxley match when it happened so early, that resulted in a title change.
I mean, technically,
absolutely. Moxley was an interim champion. Him beating Punk, he took the title off Punk. So I think they had a real opportunity to do something to wow the crowd. I again, saying this as a Wardlow fan, I don't know that Wardlow was the guy for that spot. But it is what it is. I'm of the belief MJF's return is imminent. We're going to see MJF back in AEW very, very soon. I think it's probably going to happen at the pay-per-view. And I wouldn't be shocked to see MJF and Wardlow reunite. Because now that he's failed the Undisputed Kingdom, now that he doesn't have a world title to hand to Adam Cole, which still doesn't make any sense to me, why do they care about Wardlow? All those guys, the rest of the team, they've been buddies for years and years and years. They only brought Wardlow into the group because he hates MJF and he was able to help them take down MJF. And they kept him because Cole had it in his head he was going to hand him the world title. So if you don't have a world title for him, what are you doing for me if I'm Adam Cole? So I do have it in my head that we're going to get that reuniting. That reunion. And I'm all for it. I think MJF needs friends. I think he works best now, I've seen, with friends. So bring it on. And it'll give Wardlow, who the fans really do like Wardlow. They get into his stuff.
Yeah.
When he's doing his like Powerbomb Symphony, when he's dominating jobbers, when he's just looking cool, the fans get into it. So do it. Be on his side. Make him a babyface. Don't fight upstream. Just do it. Let's see what happens.
I agree. But my question, did you think that match was going to end in shenanigans like I thought it would, or you think it was going to end clean like it did?
I don't know. It was possible that the Undisputed Kingdom came out and maybe caused some shenanigans, or maybe Swerve, if that's where you were going, perhaps cause some shenanigans to get back at Joe. But I thought it was going to end kind of clean, and just Joe usually ends up going over clean because he's that dominant. Would shenanigans have protected Wardlow a little more and maybe not have sent him so far back down from where he just got to? Yeah, probably. But I truly just I wasn't sure what to expect. I wasn't even expecting it to be this short. I'm not mad about that. I think that's fine. But it was, again, for the match itself, it wasn't bad. It was just a weird thing to do at this point in time with these two people. And I think the reason we're all so perplexed about what happened is because of that.
I like the idea that James had about him teaming up with MJF again. I would like to see that. I wanted to see that the when he was teaming with Samoa Joe. I thought Wardlow was the partner to do it. James, do you think this match was going to end in shenanigans like me, or did you think?
I don't necessarily. I didn't really think about it in terms of shenanigans, but again, I'm saying that based off of how the match started the show and based off of how it followed. Well, not started the show, but it was the first match of the show and it followed Mercedes. I thought we were going to get a big ending, and I don't think we got that. Like, good for Joe. He looks like a dominant champion, but it was just a title defense, and they had been building up to it so well that it just kind of happened. So maybe without thinking about it, shenanigans in my head was something that I was considering, even though I never really landed on it. But I was expecting something, a change, a brawl, a beatdown, whatever it may be. So I don't know. Just not what I was expecting in general.
Yeah, and James, to your point about Wardlow joining back with MJF, I think it's a good idea, but same thing I'm saying about this match, I also feel like applies to that. It's so fast. He just joined the Undisputed Kingdom. He's going to get kicked out already and go back to MJF already. Like,
I mean, didn't it happen in like when November or December? December, right?
December. It happened at World's End.
World's End. So I guess like it's been 3 months.
So you're gonna not break up a group, but you're gonna throw a member out of the group maybe I guess 5 months in.
Some of us remember when Daniel Bryan got kicked out of Nexus after 1 week. That's all I'm saying. I'm kidding.
I mean, we did have it. We will get to it. I don't want to spoil it, but I mean, another group, seems to be ending prematurely, but we'll get to that.
All right. On that note, let's move on. We then had a backstage interview with the Elite, obviously the EVPs, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson.
Excuse me, sir. The new Elite.
Are they officially the new Elite?
They are the new Elite.
Okay. Well, they're still referring to themselves as the Elite. And the newly arrived Kazuchika Okada. Marvez tries to ask Okada why he affiliated himself with the Elite upon arriving in AEW, but Nicholas cuts him off, telling Marvez to refer to Okada by his full name on his passport, the Rainmaker Kazuchika Okada, because there's no doubt in my mind that the Rainmaker is on Okada's passport. Matthew then reels Nicholas in and tells Marvez that he's doing a great job before telling him that both, everyone has helped each other when they're all at low points in their careers, which is why Okada joined them. Well, that and like 14 million other reasons. Okada then calls out Pac, Penta, and Eddie, who they're facing in a minute, and then follows it up by making Marvez both wish Matthew a happy birthday and then sing him a happy birthday. I want to get into the chat here from Kromenkonkel. I hope I'm saying that right.
Kromenkonkel. Or Kromenkonkel.
Yeah, that's what I said, Kromenkonkel. AEW has given us solid Dynamite shows for 3 weeks now. I'm super hyped for this new quote-unquote version of Dynamite. Let's go. And Rainmaker better win that Continental title. We will get to the second comment in a minute, but this almost isn't even like the new version of AEW. It feels like the new old version. Will Ospreay made reference to something later in the show, and I was like,
we'll talk about
that feeling.
I love it. We'll talk about it. I love it. I loved it.
Right, and we'll talk about what Will said about that, but it does feel like that they've restored that feeling of like earlier AEW, like the new debuts, all these fresh matchups, the title defenses, everything I feel like we've been getting for the most part has felt great, especially since Revolution. So I've been excited these last few weeks. I think the last 2 weeks have been some of the best Dynamites we've seen in a while. And it's been great. And the new influx of talent, Ospreay, Okada, and now Moné, it's only injecting more fun and fuel and fire into this company.
Let's not forget the Trailblazer, the first new talent of this new wave, Deonna Purrazzo.
Yes, that is true. You are absolutely right. I was just thinking post-Revolution. Although I guess Will showed up at Revolution. All right. Let us then actually head to the match I just mentioned, which was Kazuchika Okada and the Young Bucks against Pac, Penta, Cero, Miedo, and Eddie Kingston. I'll jump to the end here where everyone, did the whole, hey, it's a 6-man tag. Let's all hit big spots. spot. And the ring pretty much got cleared of Pac and Penta. Nicholas was somewhere on the outside. Matthew was in the corner. While Eddie had Okada lined up for a hurricane. However, the referee, who was, of course, Rick Knox, was distracted by Matthew in the corner, so he wasn't paying attention really what was going on. Matthew got up for a brief second to try to super kick Eddie. However, Eddie was able to block it and basically just chopped Matthew in the neck, sent him back into the corner, which sent Knox scurrying back into the corner to check on him. This allowed Nicholas to sneak into the ring, kick Eddie square in the dick, and then Okada grabbed him, hit the Rainmaker, 1, 2, 3. Okada then standing over Eddie, grabbed Eddie's Continental Championship and held it above his head before putting it back down and leaving the ring. And then, as we just mentioned, later in the show, it was announced that Okada will be facing Kingston for the Continental Championship, just the one title, under Continental rules, whatever that means, next week on Dynamite in Toronto. So, James, I know you're just going to go talk about the title, but I actually enjoyed this match. This was a fun six-man. Excalibur kind of called it like an all-star game of sorts, and it was. You know, The amount of talent in this ring was so good, it was impossible for this match to be bad. So it wasn't spectacular, but it was a lot of fun. The crowd was really involved, and the right people and the right person especially both won and took the pinfall. So I think everything worked out perfectly here as we set up for this title match next week.
So I completely agree. I do want to address this comment. By the way, loving this EVP Elite angle, pure gold. Happy to see that the Bucks finally got their momentum up again. I completely agree. I think the Bucks right now, in defeat after their major pay-per-view main event, are more interesting now following the pay-per-view that they didn't win, Matt.
I disagree, but that's okay.
Anyway, I'm loving this, so I'm right there with you in the comments. I'm going to stand by. I'm going to reiterate my point that I made after Moné. Okada was highlighted, and Okada feels like the biggest deal in wrestling right now. The entrance, the dominant victory. Everything about him feels like a dominant champion. Is he immediately going for the world title? No, of course not. But he's going to win that title next week. It's, to quote a great wise man, that's, it's not a prediction. It's a spoiler. He's winning next week. Sorry, guys, if you're Eddie fans. I love this match. I was joking before about being a Wardlow fan means to know pain and suffering, but really to be a Pac fan is to know pain and suffering, because my God, that guy just came back. He just felt like it's always a huge deal. I feel like when Pac inserts himself into a story, but once again, he comes up short. I really enjoyed this. I'm gonna address it in the comments. Good choice to have them split the titles from Eddie. So let's get into it real quick. I would like a collective "you were right" to me, because James, was right. They were always 3 separate titles. They were always their own thing. I'm not saying you. I'm just saying there are people who told me I was wrong. There were people who told me all 3 are one title now. Y'all were wrong. They were always 3 separate championships. Did he sometimes defend all 3? Yes. They were always 3 separate titles. So I'm very happy that Okada is about to get his first AEW championship. I'm very happy he's not touching the New Japan Strong Championship. And I'm very happy that the ROH World Championship is going to be separated from an AEW mid-card belt and will be defended by itself, presumably at Supercard of Honor in April. So wins all around, guys. And as for the match itself, standard 6-man tag or standard trios affair. I enjoyed it for what it was. I thought the finish was great. Okada got the win the way he needed, and he pinned the champion, setting up the match for next week, which is super important. And Eddie still was protected because he got kicked in the junk. So wins all around. Great booking.
Still, it's going to be tough because I think he's going to lose as next week as well. It's gonna be tough to see him lose 2 weeks in a row to the same guy. Like,
Oh, Eddie. I thought you meant Okada. I was like,
No,
fuck do you mean?
As a Kenny Omega fan who was, on the moon when he was doing his belt collector gimmick, the rise is always incredible. Watching it happen is always amazing, but the come down hurts. So it's going to be the same thing for Eddie. I don't think he's going to hold that title past Supercard of Honor, the Ring of Honor title. I no clue when he'll drop the New Japan Strong title, but it happens. It happens.
It's good. I mean, we talked about it. I think it's maybe a couple months already. I've been on record saying I want Eddie to lose all 3 titles because I want him to be chasing the AEW World Championship, and I feel like we need to see him hit like rock bottom and pull himself back up to the main event scene. And I don't want to see him be world champion right now, but like I would say by the end of the year, I'd like to see it.
See, I'm always going to be on board for him winning the world title. I think he had a really great time frame that he could have done it last year. Now that main event scene is a lot more crowded.
Agreed.
You have the Swerves. You have the Jay Whites, who I'm very excited to talk about Jay White tonight. You have the Okadas. You have so many people who are not only deserving of their main event spots, they're earning it right now. So I'm not saying Eddie by any means is not a worthy challenger for that title or a worthy holder of that title moving forward, but I don't see it being as much of a sure thing this year as I thought it would have been last year. So time will tell. I'm rooting for him, but it's a lot harder of a path to follow.
You can't disagree with that.
Chrome in the comments saying hard this year. Swerve going to win from Joe, then Ospreay at All In, and then maybe Jay takes it from Ospreay next year. That is a very possible path to follow.
It's a great path.
We also have a potential returning MJF,
Yeah, MJF, the young guy, he's going to get that world title again. Hangman could always reinsert himself back into the main event.
Adam Cole could get better.
Sure. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, Adam Cole, absolutely. Kenny Omega, whenever he's back, he's going into singles again. So lots and lots of people at the top. And it's great. It's great. It's an embarrassment of riches. And it's something that sort of started while MJF was world champion. I've been talking about it the last few weeks here on our reviews. I don't think the main event scene feels messy. I think it feels like everybody who's worth being champion is fighting for that championship, is fighting for a spot. And even though they're not really referring to the rankings the way I hope they would be every week, it is still a thing. So lots of hungry contenders.
Yeah, and I think that's another reason why the show has been so good lately, in this new season, I think as the comments put it. We've had so many people who can be contenders that it really feels like everyone's really, really driven, and it's given a lot more gravitas to a lot more of the storylines, which I think helps a whole lot. James, just to go back to something you said about Pac coming back, or Pac. Yeah, it's Pac. Sorry, Tupac, Pac.
X-Pac. X-Pac.
It's X-Pac and Tupac, but this is Pac. So anyway,
Pac-Man.
It does kind of suck that he has made this grand return, and I do think this is his first match back, and they do end up losing, even if he didn't take the pin. But it is really nice to see him back. Every time I see him come back and I watch him in the ring, I'm like, fuck, I miss this guy. So, and especially him and Penta, the amount of wars they've been in with the Bucks, the chemistry with them is so good that, like I said before, it was impossible for this match to be bad. So I'm glad it came out great. And shout out to our new close personal friend Penta.
What happened?
I just want to say, quick note. I loved Taz's comment, Sling Blade Jones. That might be my favorite. And I'd love to see Pac. If Okada wins this title, the Continental Championship, I would love Pac to be one of the first contenders. Maybe just get a couple wins in between.
I mean, you got to remember that man held it when it was the All Atlantic Championship, so he definitely has a claim to that belt in some form. I do also I want to address this comment. Kenny Omega going to come back with Ibushi and Hangman to go after the EVP Elite, I think. So he's not going to go for a singles title right away, I think. You are correct, but one of those things that you got to remember is it feels like we're definitely building towards Kenny Okada 5. And if Okada is the Continental Champion, I'm very okay with Kenny taking that title off of him. I'm very okay with it. So we'll see. We'll see. But I'm excited. No matter what, there's a lot of fun options ahead of us. There's a lot of good, enjoyable routes to take. And I'm sure we're going to land on a good one. Before we do move on, though, Rev, I do just want to say thank you. We have a incredible turnout right now. We have a lot of people watching right now. We have a lot of people checking us out. Thank you so much. If you're watching us anywhere, please, hit that like button, hit subscribe, join us wherever. If you're watching on social media, come on over to YouTube and, check us out there, subscribe to us there, like us. We like you. We really do. And we want to keep talking with you. And more importantly, just join us in the comments. We want to hear what you guys thought of this incredible event tonight.
Yeah. Speaking of the comments, it is a great time to be an AEW fan. It absolutely is. I got to say, though, one thing about Hangman, I don't know if he will be joining up with Kenny. He's been a little more heelish lately. When he does come back.
Disagree. I'm standing up against the Hangman slander. What has this man done that is heelish? Get mad at a guy for breaking into his child's bedroom? No. Has he
attacked the referees?
Referees who were on the side of the criminal.
They were impartial. That's cowboy. It's not cowboy shit. It's cowboy shame. Cowboy shame.
No. That man is defending his family. He's defending his good name. He's attacking a criminal. I love you, Swerve. I think you're awesome, but you're a criminal. And quite frankly, you have all this coming. You have absolutely all of this coming. I didn't forget what you did to Keith Lee. I didn't forget what you did to Hangman.
Somebody's going to take this out of context.
That's fine. Let it be known. His hair has just gone crazy during this promo that I'm cutting. Absolutely true. Hangman's done nothing wrong. And if you take Swerve out of the picture, if you take him out of the story, that man is still a hero.
What you said earlier, James, I like the idea of Kenny Omega becoming Continental Champion. I like it more than like Jon Moxley as the what the heck's the other thing called? Not the Intercontinental title, the All Atlantic
Championship.
Yeah. Which then became the International Championship.
International, that's what I was looking for. That was the I word I was looking for. All right.
Okay, let's move on.
Good idea.
We had a quick video package. Yeah, I was going to say, let's let James breathe for a minute. We had a quick video package for Adam Copeland against Christian Cage next week. They'll be facing off for the TNT Championship in an I Quit match in their hometown of Toronto. And then we had an in-ring interview with Will Ospreay. Will is thrilled to be fighting Bryan Danielson at AEW Dynasty in a few weeks. They literally asked him what he wanted to do, and he said, "Get Shivani out there. I want to talk about this." As Will also says that he has loved Bryan's work in Japan and his enthusiasm for the independent scene. He then brings up his match with Takeshita and the infamous Tiger Driver 91, saying that he was asked multiple times after he hit it, was it worth it? And as he said, as he was standing there after the match with blood pouring from his head, but still victorious, hell yes, it was absolutely worth it. Ospreay then brings up the phrase I brought up earlier, the one he's been hearing since he arrived in AEW, restore the feeling. And he says that he is the feeling, bruv. He then goes on to say that it was Bryan who taught him that you can have respect for the person who you're standing across the ring from. But once you're in there, there's nothing you won't do to win. And he expects nothing less from Bryan when they figure out who is the best in the world at Dynasty. Honestly, this was a lot of passion out of Ospreay, Matt, and he was speaking and quite frankly yelling so much that I didn't quite get all of it. But the crowd was really behind this. A lot of bruv chants. Well, Ospreay is insanely over, which I think we all expected. But it is great to see him getting this sort of love and showing this sort of passion and getting the response back.
Yeah, no, it's outstanding. I mean, he came out, he said, I want to talk to Shivani in front of this Boston crowd. And I mean, cheap pop, but oh my God, they blew up for that. And it, you could feel it through the TV, and everything he was saying, like, was very much resonating with me. And I'm sure I wasn't the only one. Do we have Bruv apparel yet? Do we have Bruv merchandise?
It's coming. It's got to be coming.
It better come be at or before Dynasty. That's all I'll say. And
Yeah.
I mean, this definitely, if you weren't excited for Dynasty before, like, how could you not be now?
No, absolutely.
And that's the only match we have already for Dynasty, and we're all already excited.
That's all you
for
need.
the pay-per-view. Yeah.
That's right. Matt's absolutely right. That's all you need. I'm buying that pay-per-view off of that match. I want to feel pain watching Brian lose.
Yeah, but to James, to Kramanakle's point here, people say Ospreay can't cut a promo. They are dead wrong. This was, like I said, this was passionate. It was great, and it completely enthralled and engrossed the crowd. Are you not entertained?
I completely agree. I've been following Ospreay for a very, very long time. I watched him live. I got to meet him in Ring of Honor years ago, back during like the Ricochet infamous match era.
Our days hanging out. Yeah.
The OG aerial assassin days.
Yeah, the OG aerial assassin days. Well said. And I have been following this kid grow and develop, not just as a wrestler, but what seems to be like a human being. Will be the first person to tell you that he used to say some really dumb shit. He used to really, put his foot in his mouth. And he seems to have matured so much as a person, as a competitor, as somebody that rightfully, everyone's saying it, AEW is going to make him the new face of the company, as somebody who's worthy of that spot. So I'm all in on this. I thought this was a great promo. Once again, just continuing the trend tonight of someone being highlighted and feeling like the biggest deal in the world. Ospreay had so much energy. It was reinvigorating. It was like, if you were feeling tired at all getting to this point of the show, you're waking up because of the energy this guy had, and he did it by himself. This wasn't a back and forth with Brian. This was Ospreay selling it and the crowd buying it. So I love this. I thought it was incredible. I think I will say, I think he's a great heel. I think we're eventually down the road going to get a heel Will in AEW, but he's shockingly good as a babyface. He's shockingly likable. So just more of this, and him being that face of the company, it's going to feel really, really natural when we get there.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see it when we get there. He should be. And if he's going to bring it like this every week and the fans are going to respond like this every week, yeah, the guy's going to get the rocket strapped to his back and he's going to go right to the top of this company. He might even bypass a couple of people just because they might get to a point where they have to put the title on him. Yeah. So not that I think he's a guy who needs the title to be popular, but it would 100% help. Kramanakle already calling it that Ospreay is Wrestler of the Year already. It's early. It's still early. We're still, in the first quarter here, but he's definitely an early favorite.
Did you see Meltzer? Did you see Meltzer's comment about the match of the year category?
I did not, but I have to imagine it involved Ospreay Takeshita.
He said that he's seriously contemplating adding a category that is match of the year that doesn't include Will Ospreay. Like I think he was being serious when he said it. So let's see how many contenders Ospreay brings to the table this year.
I did want to jump back to another Kramanakle comment asking if we think that Takeshita deserves a proper push. Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't have to say anything else. The answer is yes.
He is an incredible talent who has been sidelined with a bad story and just having very, very hot talent on the roster as well. But he is absolutely going to win a mid-card title. I wouldn't be shocked if by the end of the year.
Yeah, I would hope so.
I think he just needs to find something, because his ring work is impeccable.
Yes.
Just maybe finding a character or an aura that we haven't seen yet.
I agree with the character. I think the aura is there. He carries himself like a threat. He carries himself like somebody who is going to beat you down and kind of make you feel bad about it afterwards too. So I do agree with you though about the character. He's very much there as Don Callis's backup. And that's not a great character to have. But when he walks to that ring, I'm worried for his opponent. It's going to be hard hitting. The strong style will be on display. Another comment, Ospreay is getting that main title at All In for sure. If he doesn't win it, he's going to be in the match. He's absolutely going to be in the match at All In.
I mean, that or he's going to have one of like the more high-profile non-title matches. I know we're already facing him off against Bryan right here, but I'm sure there's so much talent in this company. They'll find a really great opponent for him. I'm not even concerned.
Absolutely.
Also, I guess the only thing with Takeshita and putting a title on him is, which title do you put on him? At least in the short term. A lot of things are locked up, especially with a lot of heels at the moment. So
I'd put the international title on him because that's the workhorse belt.
Yeah.
He could put on banger after banger every week, I think.
Yeah, and I would think that one too, but it's wrapped up with Roddy right now. So Roddy would, I think, have to lose it to a face, and then he can get it.
You could do a multi-man match, the triple threat match, which we've discussed before. There's ways you could take it off Roddy and put it on Takeshita at the right time.
And you also
sometimes this year.
Yeah, exactly. You also don't need Takeshita to win it in the next month or two. As long as he wins it in like a 6-month period, that's all that matters.
I mean, it'd be nice to get it in the next month or two, but I understand.
Boo, you're biased. Boo.
Very much so. I called this kid was going to be fucking the man the first time I saw him. So I get to be biased. Kramanako thinks it's going to be Kyle O'Reilly who takes the title from Roddy. We'll discuss him in a bit. So,
and I did say Kyle O'Reilly versus Takeshita is a match. I would watch the hell out of that match.
Oh, yeah.
So
please stop. I can only get so wrecked.
What happened?
I said, please stop. I can only get so wrecked. All right. Let's move on. We went backstage real quick with Deonna Purrazzo, where she called out Timeless Toni Storm and Mariah May, saying that there's no way this over after Toni tapped out at Revolution and she wasn't able to get her the win. And if this is going to be about the numbers game with Mariah always at Toni's side, she'll find a partner and take them out next week in Toronto. As for Toni and Mariah's tag match on Friday, maybe she'll show up at ringside and it should be Toni who watches out for the shoe because it's going to be going up her ass. Great line. James is praying for Deonna Purrazzo and a W.
I'm praying that her partner is Britt Baker.
Ooh, that would be fun.
How's Jamie Hayter doing these days?
British.
So
no one
British
really
and
sure.
New Jersey Italian don't mix, I guess.
What were you saying, Rev?
I have no idea.
You were
I got distracted. Oh yeah, no, I think she's just still hurt. No one really knows. No, producer boy is using our account to talk shit in the comments, and I was going to tell him to stop. Use your own damn account, producer boy.
No, but I do think Britt Baker is a real possibility. They're like best friends in real life. Like the trio is Chelsea Green, Deonna Purrazzo, Britt Baker.
That makes sense. I follow Chelsea on Instagram, and they're like I always see pictures of them together. So yeah.
So I
should have put that together.
I'm very in on this. Yes, please, Britt Baker. I miss Britt. I miss Britt.
A lot.
It's been too long. Like I needed a break from Britt, but that break has gone on way longer than it should have.
It's a fair point. And now with the number of women we've added to this division lately, or have come up and risen through the ranks of this division, there's a lot more people we could see Britt face off against.
Exactly.
Starting with Mercedes.
Break me off a piece of that Britt Baker,
2 minutes, $2. Get out of here. All right. No, I thought he left for a second. Let's move on to our next match, which saw Darby Allin face off against Switchblade Jay White in what is actually Darby's final match before he goes and climbs Mount Everest. God, that still makes me anxious to say. Darby obviously came out covered in bandages and gauze because he is still healing from all of his wounds at Revolution. And I do mean wounds. Like, did you like the amount of gashes that guy had? And you saw some of them throughout the night as the bandages were slowly stripped away with Switchblade just continually attacking them and his back. You did actually see some like the staples and the sutures he had in that one gash he had right below his right shoulder blades, or excuse me, his left shoulder blades. So just not for the faint of heart. But towards the end of the match, Darby was able to hit a Scorpion Death Drop on Jay White near the ropes, and then he climbed up top for a coffin drop. However, Jay slowly shimmied his way underneath the ropes and onto the apron. So Darby, in his infinite wisdom, decided that he was going to adjust and go for the coffin drop on the apron. However, Jay White pretty much baited him into it. He was able to get out of the way, and Darby bounced off the apron and onto the floor. Just, ow. Darby then barely beat the count back into the ring, but Jay immediately grabbed him and capitalized on how injured he was, hitting the Blade Runner for the win. After the match, Jay has the Ass Boys come down to flank him, and it appears like Jay is going to help a very beaten and battered Darby up and shake his hand. However, when Darby goes to extend his, Jay gives him the finger gun, shoots him, and the Ass Boys attack Darby. The three of them beat him down, and then Jay White hops out of the ring to grab a chair and Sting's baseball bat that Darby brought to the ring with him. They wrap the chair around Darby's leg and are intending to break it when the Acclaimed come down and try to talk them out of it. Daddy Ass gets right in Jay White's face, being like, "What the fuck, dude? We don't pull this shit." As Bowens and Caster put Darby over their shoulders and start bringing him up the ramp. As they leave, we kind of see the Guns and Jay start surrounding Daddy Ass, and eventually he turns right around into a chair shot to the head by Jay White. Caster and Bowens realize what happened. They put Darby down as gently as I guess they possibly could on the ramp, and they go back to the ring. However, they're immediately met by the Guns, and the 3-on-2 assault catches up to them as they're both hit in the head with the Ring of Honor six-man championship belts. Jay White then hits a Blade Runner onto Billy Gunn, and then the Guns get Darby, bring him back to the ring, where they reapply the chair, and Jay White finally hits it with Sting's bat. James, this match was interesting. I was kind of hoping it was a little better, considering it was Darby's finals match before he leaves. God willing, it's just before he leaves. But I understand what they were selling. Darby's clearly just still beating the fuck up from Revolution. And the aftermath of the match was, I thought, pretty good. We did get the split of the Acclaimed and the Bang Bang Gang. Maybe not in the way I thought it was going to happen, but we did get it. And now we can get on with that feud, as those promos were kind of starting to get stale, I think, a little bit anyway.
Yeah. Some matches are about the wrestling and some matches are about the story. This was a match about the story. I joked in our chat when Darby went for the coffin drop onto the apron and he missed, and then he bounced onto the floor. I was like, I'm convinced Darby is trying to kill himself so he doesn't actually have to climb the mountain. And I kind of stand by that statement. I'm glad to see I'm glad to see the Bang Bang Scissor Gang finally end. I do think it was kind of abrupt.
Yeah.
I for something that we've been dealing with for so long, the ending just we sped towards that ending. But I'm okay with it because, man, does Jay White look like a monster right now? Does he look like a conniving piece of shit threat? And I love that. He's desperately needed a little bit of a reset. What just happened in your sporting event?
Oh, no, Fairfield won. Go Stags.
There you go.
I was pretty sure, but I had to double check. We won by 5.
Jay White has been desperately in need of some refocusing, some heating up, and he got that. He got that here. So I thought this was an excellent showing for the Switchblade. As far as knife perverts go, I'm getting exactly what I need to from him. Darby is going to be missed. I'm looking forward to reading about his exploits as he climbs Mount Everest, but I hope he's safe. And this was a way to go. So I'm very conflicted as to how we move forward, because on one hand, I really want, thank you, man. I do appreciate it. Sometimes I know what I'm saying. Not always, but sometimes. I am very conflicted moving forward, because it really does feel like we're going to get a unification of the two trios belts. And that's fine. If there was ever a belt in Ring of Honor that could be absorbed, I've been saying it is the 6-man tag championships. But while I do feel that Bullet Club Gold should come out on top, I really don't want Jay White stuck in that trios division. I really want Jay White to go for a singles title. So unless Juice Robinson is coming back and he gives the title to Juice instead, and then he goes off into singles, I don't really know. Oh God. Yes. He heard it. He heard it in the comments.
He even switched to his own account to make sure he can comment it.
Matt, honestly, let me give you a little bit of Eric lore here. Eric salivates at the word unification.
He fiends over unification matches.
Yep. Especially when it's a Ring of Honor title, because he doesn't like Ring of Honor or the titles.
So he doesn't matter what the belt is. I could say the AEW World title should be unified with the WWE Undisputed Universal title, and he say yes, because it's unification. So this was perfect. But Rev, what were you going to say? I'm sorry, I stepped on you.
Well, I was going to say, on one hand, I guess them unifying, these trio titles would probably be the best chance for Dalton Castle to get an AEW championship, even though he currently doesn't have the boys. But I just wanted to see your reaction to that. But no, I don't really want that unification, especially because, like you said, I don't really necessarily know, especially with the way Jay White's been recently, if I want him stuck in the trios division the way you just said. So I definitely hope they do win this feud, and I guess that would then probably lead them to winning the trios championships. But don't unify them, A. B, people who are complaining about the way Jay White was presented, you can now officially shut the fuck up. Okay? I told you they had to put him on the back burner. They weren't expecting him to be there. They've kept him involved in major feuds, including one for the AEW championship, where he ran around with that title for a month and a half. Okay? And now he's looking like Jay White, I don't want to say of old, but he is looking like the, conniving knife pervert that we all know.
And love.
So stop complaining, okay? This was always coming. You just had to be patient. And if you were, Matt, your patience has paid off.
My turn to talk?
Yes.
Yeah? Awesome.
Anyway, moving on.
No, I want to say, I talked about earlier Takeshita needing something. He needs something like an entrance that the Bullet Club Gold have, because I think they have one of the best entrances, and their music is great as well.
You don't like the low tone note from that carny piece of shit Don Callis?
The brown note.
Yeah, no, I don't. That's not quite doing it for me. I like this match. I know you guys don't seem super impressed with it. More about the story, but I actually enjoyed this match pretty thoroughly. And I think it's a little too early to break up the Bang Bang Scissor Gang. I would have liked to have seen Juice Robinson come back for that breakup. I think that would, and then that also, if they do a unification match, I would hope that's probably where Juice Robinson could come back. I think that's the way to do it. Have him come back, like be the fourth man, kind of interfere, and then
freebird the titles.
Yes, you took the words right out of my mouth. So, they're a great looking group, especially considering I think Bullet Club has been on the decline. I feel like they're keeping it alive, and this was good stuff from them tonight.
Yeah, I don't watch New Japan as much as I should, but Bullet Club in general, you're right, I think is currently in a bit of a lull, and they probably have the best Bullet Club faction out of anybody right now. Except James is waving me off here.
He likes the TNA guys. Also, apologies to Alex
Oh.
Collin, my friend of a friend. I know he's in Bullet Club as well.
But isn't it just the two of them over in TNA? So
All
I was
I'm
thinking
saying is,
as a faction.
all I'm saying is they were recruited by Jay White.
Okay, so you know what? Keep up. They're part of Bullet Club Gold then. Although you did ask them, and they just said we were recruited by Jay White, and they didn't give you an answer. So that was the answer. So yeah, but I think it was a little early maybe for the breakup, especially no Juice Robinson. But hopefully he's back soon and plays into this story a bit more, and gives it a little extra push. Even though I'm not sure who the face and who the heel are, because I don't know what the Fox Max is doing right now. But let's move on. We then came back to another tag team matchup, which saw Hook and Chris Jericho face off against the Gates of Agony. Jericho has been using his Lionheart gimmick again recently, especially since he's been facing off against some of these CMLL guys. Pretty sure he just beat one on Collision. And because of that, they're going by Lion Hook because, of course, they need to, create a tag team name for Hook and for Jericho. It's just every
Branding,
time with
baby.
Hook.
Branding, baby.
Anyway, to jump to the end of this match, as Hook was attempting to apply the Red Rum to Bishop Khan, Toliona came in and tried to break it up, but Hook was able to shove the two of them together, and Leona fell and got dragged out of the ring by Chris Jericho, who was on the outside. Hook is then still struggling to get the Red Rum in, so Jericho gets into the ring and begins to apply the walls onto Khan. He actually is able to flip Khan over and has him in the walls for a few seconds before Leona jumps back up on the apron, and Jericho breaks the hold to go drop kick him back off. Hook is able to use the few seconds of the walls to finally lock in the Red Rum, and Bishop Khan is forced to tap out. Matt, I'm not going to call anything a bathroom break the way some of our commenters are, but this was definitely the cool down match after all of the excitement that we had this evening. And I think it did its job well. I'm not overly thrilled that Hook is with Chris Jericho. This wasn't a banger of a match, but it was perfectly fine for what it is. And hooray, we have Lion Hook.
I'd much rather see Hookhausen. I skipped this match. I had to fast forward. I did catch the ending where, they did the Red Rum and the Lion Tamer together. It looked incredibly awkward.
Yep.
I'm glad
it's a great concept. It's a great concept. It's just they did not land it.
It's hard to do a move. Sorry, Matt. It's hard to do a move, one submission where you need to be on the guy's back, and then another dude is flipping him over onto his stomach.
Maybe they should have practiced it a bit more. I'm just glad they didn't finish the match with that because it was very, very awkward. And yeah, I like I said, I skipped it. Were people booing Jericho in the beginning, or have people gotten over that?
Yeah, they booed him a little bit. I heard some boos. I heard some boos both then and when I'm assuming it was because of what was on the screen. They had the backstage interview a couple of segments after this, and he got booed then as well. So not by everybody, but it was definitely noticeable.
Yeah, I mean, well, he never gets booed by everybody. I mean, at this point in time, I'm still not happy with him. I'm not booing him, but at the same time, I skipped this match. So there you go. Yeah.
And I think that's fair. Whatever has gone on with Jericho, rumor, not rumor, actually, what his, leanings are politically. If you don't like
Allegedly.
the guy, yeah,
Allegedly.
But if you don't like the guy, I think I can understand that. I am just fed up with him just latching onto the new hot thing and then sucking him into the vortex and keeping him there for 6 months. It's like fucking Whirlpool in Pokemon. You're just stuck there for 4 to 6 turns and you can't get out of it. It hits every time. It's so annoying. But like I said, James, the match is fine, but yeah, fucking Jericho landed Whirlpool on Hook and he's trapped.
It could be worse. It could be Swerve.
True.
I will, I love Hook, but I will gladly sacrifice Hook so Swerve can stay away from Jericho.
I saw somebody on Reddit say the same thing. It was like Tony Khan sacrificed Hook so Jericho couldn't go towards Swerve.
I think it's true. I think it's real. I have just a really weird feeling that this is going to lead to Jericho taking the FTW title.
That would suck.
It really would.
I liked when he won the ROH title, but I don't like this. The FTW. I mean, I guess because of Taz, that's why they would do it, like to really irk Taz. But I don't want to see it.
I don't want to see it either. I think the FTW title has so much potential to be something, and I feel like they haven't really achieved it with anybody that's held it in AEW. And that's not any of the guys' faults. Like, I don't blame Brian Cage. I don't blame Ricky Starks. I don't blame Hook. I don't blame Jungle Boy. I don't blame any of them. But I think when you have a title that's literally fuck the world title, I think there's something you could do with that. So TNA has something called Option C. With the X Division Championship, where if you held it by a certain time, by a certain cutoff point, whoever the X Division champion is could cash in the belt to challenge for the world title. I think the FTW title could serve something very similar. It's meant to be for guys who are not getting opportunities at the world title. That was the whole point of it in ECW. That's why Taz created it. So if they did something similar to that here in AEW, I think that would be incredible. I think that would do a lot for the belt. It would give meaning to that belt and not just be a prop for whoever is on Taz's side at that point. So that was all very long-winded. I could see them having value in Jericho's hands. But either way, I don't care about this. It's not something I really want to see.
I appreciate that sentiment. I mean, definitely whoever holds it is like there to represent Taz, or perhaps irk Taz in the case of Jungle Boy and potentially Chris Jericho. My question for you, and I don't want to get off too off topic. Who do you think would be someone to put that FTW championship like in a spot of prominence? Because I have a name in mind. Who do you think?
Ooh, that's a great question.
It used to be Ricky, but
yeah. I think it would be a guy who kind of gets shunned from the world title scene. I don't know, man. Darby would be good, I think.
Yeah, is that something maybe Takeshita could use in the midterm, considering maybe at this point, as we said before, there really isn't a mid-card title he could go after? You know, have that with the Don Callis family. That would both kind of that would be fun with Taz, because Taz likes Don. But if Don was being a dick towards the title he created, it could create some fun friction.
Yeah,
I like both those ideas. My thought is, and he's been world champion, but I think he embodies the persona of the FTW championship. I think Jon Moxley would be
good. Moxley would be a good fit for that belt.
Also, another Team Taz guy, Hobbs, if you wanted to do that similarly to Takeshita, but keep it Team Taz.
I actually really agree with Chrome here in the comments. I think Hangman is actually the guy right now for this belt. He's not going to get the world title because of Swerve. Fuck the world title. I'm the FTW champion. I think that's actually kind of perfect.
Just hit Swerve every week with that title.
Man, look at this guy. He's new to the comments, but he's killing it right now.
Yeah, and he agrees with you on Moxley as well. Moxley would be good with it. It'd be a lot of fun. But I think right now in his current state, Hangman, great pick.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let us move on to our next segment. We had a backstage interview with Kyle O'Reilly, as we kind of talked about earlier. Renee asked Kyle about the changing landscape over the last couple of weeks of AEW. And he says he's looking at it, and he wonders if he can still hang after all this time off with the most competitive roster maybe ever, which is a great argument to have. Kyle says that he thinks the guy who can bring out the old Kyle O'Reilly is my man bounty hunter Brian Keith, and they have a match this Saturday. Roderick Strong and the Kingdom then come over, and Roddy says that he has a lot of respect for Kyle, so if Kyle does indeed want to do it on his own, he will respect that, and they won't bother him or anything. Kyle thanks him, and they all dap up. And as the three go to leave, Kyle repeats to Renee that he'll be doing it all on his own, but he has a lot more nervousness and trepidation in his voice than he did previously. We then had a Willow Nightingale Riho promo package for the main event. I bring this up really quick just to say that they included footage of Willow's match with Mercedes Moné in New Japan Strong for that inaugural Women's Championship. And then after the video package, we saw Mercedes introduce herself to Riho, saying she was looking forward to her match. We then went backstage with Hook and Jericho after their win. And Renee asked Jericho if he has respect for Hook now following their win. And while Jericho now thinks that Hook has world championship potential, he still needs to know more. And the only way to do that would be to face off against Hook in the ring, be across the ring from him, and then who's skipping things?
Oh, that was me. I apologize. I was fixing something and then I messed it up.
I thought it was producer board. I was like, wait, he's not here. Anyway, Jericho then challenged Hook for a match next week in Toronto, which Hook then accepted. So hopefully that just ends. I doubt it, but it'd be nice.
I mean, they're still in the tournament. I feel like AEW does this a lot where they're like, we're allies, we're tag team partners, yada, yada, yada. Let's just have a match against each other without having like a feud. It's like, I feel like this match should happen after they lose the tournament, you know?
Yeah.
Wait, there's a tournament?
Aren't they in the tag team tournament for the titles? Isn't that what started? Or is that not?
No, they haven't announced that yet. So
no, they did announce a tournament.
I know they announced a tournament, but they didn't announce Hook and Jericho or anything.
Oh, that wasn't the first round tonight?
No, it was just a match.
So. Yeah.
Okay, so that's my bad.
Yeah. Well,
I thought we were like through round one. It's like before we get to round two, we're gonna have a random match against each other. It still feels weird, but I disregard that. We can move on.
We will move on, Matt. We will move on.
It's possible they're in the tournament, but it's going to be interesting to see what they do. You know, they could do Hook win next week, and then maybe they go in the tournament, they end up losing, and then Jericho turns on Hook. That seems like a pretty obvious scenario there. So, also, note from Chrome and Aqua for everybody. First time around here, obviously. It's nice to see a review without always hating on AEW. Good reviewers here. Thank you, buddy. We appreciate it. Hopefully you subscribe, you come back around. We like everything here pretty much, except Eric and Danny. We do like them too. They just don't like anything. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, they don't like anything. Thank you for fixing my phrasing there, James. But yeah, we try to take everything, and review it fairly, and we'll say what we like and we'll say what we don't like. But
if something's good, we're gonna like it. If something's bad, we're still gonna try to like it, but we'll be honest about it.
Constructive criticisms will be had. But thank you for joining us tonight. Let's move on to our main event, which saw the aforementioned Willow Nightingale face off against Riho. We saw Willow was accompanied during her entrance by Stokely Hathaway and Chris Statlander as they've been all running together. But Stoke and Stat both went to the back as Willow went to the ring, and we actually didn't see him for the rest of the match. Speaking of the match, I will jump to the end, where after dodging the top rope stomp, Willow was able to hit Riho with a pounce and just absolutely blew her up because Riho is all of like 80 pounds and knocked Riho out of the ring. Willow then went for, it's really Riho, Willow, that's a tough one. I should just go Nightingale. Nightingale then went for the cannonball to the outside. However, Riho was able to dodge it, leaving Nightingale just absolutely laid out on the floor. And then Riho went back to the top and hit a stomp on the floor. As Nightingale started to get back into the ring, Riho was able to slip behind her and hit a dragon suplex on the apron, and then went back up top and hit another stomp, this time in the ring, and Nightingale was able to kick out. After some back and forth striking, Riho was able to get Willow down for a jackknife cover. However, Willow was able to power out of it with a gut wrench. She then used the gut wrench to hit Riho with a Dr. Bomb for the 1-2-3 and the victory. After the match, Nightingale went over to Riho and gave her a hug as a sign of respect. And after that finished and Willow continued to celebrate, the lights went out. And when they turned back on, the TBS champion Julia Hart was at the bottom of the ramp.
Spooky.
Very spooky. That led to a stare down between the two and allowed Sky Blue to come in from behind and take Willow down with a chop block. The two women then began the beatdown, and they set Willow up to be hit with the TBS championship when Mercedes Moné's music hits. She comes out onto the stage, starts heading down the ramp. Sky Blue goes up to meet her and gets knocked the fuck out with a right hand. Mercedes then goes into the ring, and we have a stare down between her and Julia Hart. Julia then attempts to throw a kick that Mercedes blocks. Mercedes hits a kick of her own and then gets Julia up on her back and slams her down with a finisher that I'm sure they're going to name, and I don't know what it was called in New Japan. And I think she altered it a bit too. She didn't go for like the knees with it. She just laid her out onto the mat. Willow then came up to Mercedes, and the two had a very brief stare down before Willow raised Mercedes' hand and gave her the ring. And we had CEO chants as we went off the air. Matt, this match was good. I like both of these women a lot. You know, it wasn't spectacular, but it did its job. And obviously everything that happened after was great. We got the big hometown pop for Mercedes, got the save. We teased Willow versus Mercedes, but we'll see what happens with that in the future.
Yeah, it definitely feels like their options are open. It's like, will Mercedes have a match before Dynasty? Will she not? Will the match be versus Willow? Will it be against Julia Hart for the TBS championship? I mean, she has history with Paige, but I think that's, Saraya, but I think that'll be further down the line.
Yeah, we got time.
I really like this match. You know, it reminded me, we were just talking 2 weeks ago, Dynamite. We really loved the Sky Blue Chris Statlander match. So it's good to see more really good women's wrestling, and in the main event tonight, no less. So that's great to see. Good for them. This is the other thing, like I talked about earlier, the first thing tonight with the debut. I feel like in a perfect world, Mercedes would have been left till the very end of the show for that run-in. Again, I don't know if you can trust the crowd to not hijack the show, up until that point, if you do that, you know what I'm saying? So again, it was kind of weird seeing her twice in one night. I think it worked, but at the same time, I'm like, I kind of left wanting a little bit more.
Didn't they do that with Punk too? Did Punk come out again at the end of the show?
I don't remember.
I think so, but the point I was saying with that is Punk had been gone so long, and you knew whether they were getting Punk or not that night in Chicago, they would be chanting CM Punk the whole night. I don't know if you would necessarily, people were there for Mercedes Moné. They were excited to see her. I don't know if they would have necessarily been chanting Mercedes Moné the entire night until she shows up.
Kramanakle's saying that Punk did come back out later in the show. So they just use the same formula. They just bookended the show with their debuting talents in the hometown. I think it works perfectly.
Yeah, it's working.
It's a good formula.
Okada debuted the same way as Adam Cole. It worked. Mercedes debuting the same way as CM Punk. It worked.
If it ain't broke,
coming.
Yeah,
keep it coming. I have to really disagree with you, Rev. I thought this match was incredible. I really enjoyed this main event.
I did miss a little bit because I was setting up the stream, but I love both of these women. So what I saw, I did absolutely love.
I was surprised when I realized that it was going to be the main event. I was like, oh my God, they're really main eventing with these two. And I still figured Mercedes would come out at the end.
Yeah.
But I was like, not necessarily the strongest main event you could put on. But these two women killed it. And it helps that they're both very beloved by the crowd. Riho has the magic formula to go away for 6 months, come back, and feel like the biggest deal in wrestling. And Willow is just always beloved. So it worked. But I thought this match delivered in so many ways. I thought Willow was incredible. Like you said, that pounce that she hit on the Riho out of the ring was just wowza. That was huge. And then Willow hitting that senton from the apron to the outside. That was brutal.
Yeah, the one she missed. Yep.
Yeah, that was a brutal but great spot, and I thought the finish was great. I thought Willow looked great. She got a big win out of it. It's interesting because last week Riho beat Statlander.
Yeah.
So now one teammate was able to beat her and one teammate wasn't. So I wonder if that's going to lead to anything moving forward because they are teasing Statlander possibly turning heel.
Yeah, and the big difference with that was obviously Stokely Hathaway. He distracted Statlander with the chain. Last week we then saw Willow tell Stokely to stay in the back. He did, and Willow comes out with the win here, clean too. And also, like you said, in great fashion. I think that made Willow look like an absolute beast, being able to power out of the jackknife cover, which Riho has used to defeat many people, and literally just deadlift her up into a doctor bomb.
And she kicked out of the coup de grace too, didn't she?
Yeah, she did. After the dragon suplex on the apron, she then kicked out of the stomp of the coup de grace, whatever you want to call it. She kicked out of that, which she looked so strong in this match. She did.
And to address Eric's comment, Willow being the person who hurt Mercedes and winning that title was big for Willow's career. Yeah. It was big for Willow, and it sets the stage for them. And Mercedes did acknowledge earlier in the night they have unfinished business, but so many moving pieces here that are in a great spot to really do something fun. I do agree. We were Chrome said it earlier. Mercedes Moné next TBS champion. I'm happy with that. Let her win the TBS title. Let her put some shine on the title. That way I could get Deonna Purrazzo as the AEW Women's Champion and Mercedes Moné as the TBS champion. And guess what? I'm a happy boy.
We all like James when he's a happy boy. I was actually surprised that it looks like she's doing the TBS championship. I thought she was going to go after Toni Storm. I think this is just a coincidence up until this point, but I hope it doesn't continue to be a trend where it just seems all the black women go for the TBS championship exclusively. It feels like
I mean, when I think of black women, I do think of Julia Hart.
No, I'm saying there's a list like Jade Cargill, Athena went exclusively for the TBS, not the AEW women's AEW. Like I could go down the list, and it's again, I don't think it's a big deal right now. I just hope it doesn't continue to be a trend. Like keep both options available. That's all I'm saying.
No, and I do get that. Personally, I think Mercedes goes for the TBS title, but she doesn't win it. I think we brought it up before. There is history with Saraya. I wouldn't be shocked if Saraya cost her the title based off of Mercedes costing Saraya her career for a very long time. And that leads to a fire feud. That, say what you will about Saraya. I know she's not who she was in the ring today, but she could still cut an incredible promo. She could still participate in a good match. She might not be able to carry anything, but she could still put on a serviceable match.
Especially with Mercedes.
Yeah, so I would and if that means she doesn't win the TBS title, and then that opens her up to going for the women's title, I'm okay with that. But again, so many possibilities moving forward.
I'm glad we both really enjoyed this match, James. I'm sorry, Nick, that you're just not in the club. Also, the punch that Moné hit, I was about to say Julia Hart, Sky Blue, that just looked great. It was just like, wow.
Fucking Sky sold out like she got shot. Yeah. She just crumpled.
Both of them, they connected and it was perfect.
Yeah, Chromonako suggesting maybe Saraya against Mercedes at All In. That's possible, maybe.
I would not wait that long. I would not wait till the end of the year, especially in a situation where realistically, you know what? I take back what I was about to say. Like Saraya should be the heel. She probably will be, but at the same time,
she's not going to get booed.
Yeah, she's not going to get booed at All In. But even beyond that, you could kind of be sympathetic to Saraya here. You know. It's hard to make her out and out the full-on heel in this feud. Like, she did lose years of her career. And it's not Mercedes' fault, but it was against Mercedes.
Yeah.
So, who knows?
I also, this whole Statlander thing of it all, but, my immediate thought was when they announced that the Willow Riho match was going to be the main event, I was like, shit, they're going to turn Mercedes heel this fast, huh? I thought she might attack Willow. And I do actually kind of think that there is a chance that happens in the near future. Whether it's, maybe Willow takes the the TBS championship off of Julia Hart, and then Mercedes just turns on her. So I wouldn't think that's out of the realm of possibility, but there is Stokely, there is Statlander, and I do think that Willow's a little more caught up with them at the moment than Mercedes, unless they pivot. But I think they would have planned that out by now, because it wasn't like Mercedes was a huge surprise that she was coming in.
It could be just a one-off match with Willow. You know what I mean? Like, they could always revisit it down the line. Because again, you do need to fill up TV time. Not that necessarily Mercedes' first match is going to be on TV. I'm just saying, like James said, we do have options. Also, one other quick thing, Allin is in August. So it's not even that far, 5 months. Do you think, James? If you think 5 months is too long to wait for Sarai versus Moné, that's fine. But I just wanted to put it in perspective.
I just think that is true. I did kind of think it was going to be a little bit later. I don't know why.
I had to look it up. So
yeah, I think 5 months isn't too bad. But this is the feud that we're all kind of waiting for. This is kind of the feud that we're all looking forward to. And yeah, you could build up to it. You could build the anticipation for it. But at the same time, just give it to us. Just give it to us.
Also, Sarai is like doing nothing right now.
Not true. Not true, actually. She's involved in a very fun storyline. No, there's no about it.
I was agreeing.
No, him. He was being a sassy little guy down there. It's a great fun storyline. It's happening on Rampage.
Okay.
She's killing it right now with Harley Cameron. I think Harley Cameron might be one of the most fun surprises that I've seen in AEW in a very long time.
She did the knifey spoony thing from the fucking Simpsons a couple of weeks ago.
And then there was the bit where they introduced Soraya's brother. What's his name?
Briefly. Her brother.
Zach something.
Zodiac?
Zodiac Zach Knight. And Harley just starts like frothing at the mouth, talking about how hot Soraya's family is. And Saraya needed to hit her with a spray bottle. And then she just tells
like
Renee.
A cat?
Yeah. And then she tells Renee, we're getting her fixed. So don't worry about it. It is hilarious. And it's all been good with Ruby Soho and Angelo Parker. It has been a great storyline. It's just nobody's watching it because it's on Rampage, unfortunately.
That's a shame. I did see the knifey spoon.
I've seen you seen knifey spoony before.
Yeah, I did see that clip, and I popped for that. But other than that, I've not really been involved in the story.
I was gonna say, I think that made Botchamania. One of the last two ones. That's where you probably saw it.
It's dead.
I think there's a lot to go here. What do you guys think about Soraya's brother? Honestly, I miss him. I don't know or care.
He's got the cool jacket. He's got the cool guy jacket.
Again, it's a little early for us because I'm not too familiar with his work in the UK, but I will say he is a young guy. I thought he would be older, but he is still a pretty young guy. He's got a good look, and as long as he's got a mouthpiece like Saraya, it'll be easy for him to get heat. So let's see. Let's give him some time. But apparently he is all elite. He's not just stopping by for a cup of coffee. Let's see.
Nepo higher.
Yeah. It's a company built off of it. But go ahead, Rev.
I wanted to jump back to a comment you put up earlier, James, from Chrome and Knuckle, suggesting Sky Blue versus Mercedes Moné for Mercedes AEW debut. I don't think Mercedes is wrestling until Dynasty. So
it's possible, yeah.
That's a possible debut at Dynasty, but I think you go a little more high profile than that. And then obviously she gets a W.
I mean, we've got like about 5 weeks till Dynasty, and we were just raving about Sky Blue versus Statlander a couple weeks ago. So I think if they need to have Moné in a match in the next 5 weeks, I think Sky Blue is not a bad choice at all.
I agree. It would be a fun back and forth matchup. It kind of also depends on if they want to pop a rating and say we have Soraya's first match back on TV.
Mercedes.
They can do it. Who did I say? Saraya?
Saraya, yeah.
My bad. If they want to have Mercedes' first match back on TV to get people like interested, for sure.
Eric suggesting Serena D, but I've seen that bandied about a bit on the internet as well.
For Mercedes?
Yes.
I mean, I'm not against it. I say this, no bonk. Don't bonk me. Mercedes is very bendy. and I think that would be good against Serena.
Yeah,
but
it would be a painful looking match.
Yeah, but I don't know that that's something I'm really looking to like. Oh man, I'm looking forward to Mercedes versus Serena.
I think it would deliver, but I don't think that's on their radar right now. Maybe that's down the line. I could definitely see that being a collision match sometime after Dynasty.
Has Serena officially come back? I know she had the promo package at World's End. Is she over on Collision?
I'm not entirely sure, but I know I've been seeing her do lots of backstage pictures at AEW. She just did a picture with Bryan Danielson, and it's like, please just put her in the BCC.
Yeah,
she makes so much sense.
Yeah, I honestly wasn't sure if she was like actually back on the shows or not yet. So
you know what? I'm willing to think maybe she's absolutely not. I could be wrong, but I've seen her on set so often that I feel like she has to at least be there.
Yeah, Matt, we'll check that real quick. Eric's saying he doesn't think that Tony will get Mercedes to do weekly matches, and quite frankly, I don't think he wants her to do weekly matches. At least in the beginning here, she is an attraction. You don't just throw her on Dynamite every week to do a match. She'll be there almost every week, and she'll definitely be on some collisions, but I don't think we're going to get weekly matches, at least to start.
I don't think we're going to get every week, but admittedly, we just got Okada debuting on last Dynamite, wrestling on Collision, and then wrestling on Dynamite.
Yeah. But
if Okada could do it, who's, in my opinion, a much bigger deal and way more of a special attraction in terms of what he should be, I think Mercedes could wrestle a couple times a month too.
Fair. I also think it's a little bit different for Okada since he's been not in the company but around it before, as opposed to Mercedes. It's her first time ever setting foot in an AEW ring, so a little bit different. Chroma Cockle is convinced that Mercedes will wrestle before Dynasty. Maybe I don't know. Maybe if they do another one of those big shows like they did tonight. So next week is a very big show as well. They're not naming it, but it's a stacked card because they're in Toronto. 2
title matches.
Yep, 2 title matches. Jericho is going to be wrestling Hook, which I personally don't care about, but Canada will. So next week is a stacked card. Is she back, Matt?
I saw, we didn't find anything concrete, but it looks like she was on Collision on February 24th. She defeated Lady Frost in a singles match.
Okay, so it appears Serena Deeb has indeed returned.
We're not really Collision guys here, so
yeah, it's fucking Saturday night and we're busy.
Hey, you want me to do Friday nights? I can only do so much.
I know. I didn't say you had to do Saturday. Nobody does Saturday.
Saturday.
It's St. Patrick's Day this Saturday. I probably should have worn my hat and totally
It's St. Patrick's Day this Sunday, sir.
The parade is Saturday.
The whole month. It's St. Patrick's month.
Oh boy, your liver.
It was the St. Patrick's week, and because it's on the Sunday, next week is also St. Patrick's week. God. The parade here in Woodlawn is next Saturday.
That's actually really funny.
So, I got a lot going on. The parade in Throg's Neck was this past Sunday. So
yeah, last Saturday was Huntington, Bayshore, and who else had there was one other place that had a St. Patrick's Day parade.
Throg's Neck?
No, maybe, but that's not the one I'm thinking of. No.
Oh, okay. I know Throg's Neck had it.
Plainview, maybe? MJF? No.
Eric, I don't know about you, but I actually have a life. So, I'm actually been busy, like very busy. But, all right, on that note, that was Dynamite, guys.
On that mean note.
This is a great Dynamite. Obviously, the debut of Mercedes will highlight everything. But, James, I thought we had a lot of great matches, especially the main event, as you mentioned. The Samoa Joe match against Wardlow was okay, did its job. And I think, we got to see Darby have a send-off here as we got what a lot of people would consider the real Switchblade Jay White back. So we did a lot in this episode. We set up a lot for next week. Yep. And it was just, honestly, there was a lot of, heart pumping adrenaline up to down in this episode of Dynamite.
Mercedes Moné, Swerve, Will Ospreay, Okada. So many awesome moving pieces. Jay White, everybody delivered tonight. I don't think there were really any missteps. Like, even if you don't care about the Jericho and Hook stuff, which we don't really, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't bad. It was just, it was the warm up before the main event. Riho, Willow Nightingale killed it. This was a great episode of Dynamite. I'm tempted to say best of the year so far. I don't know if I could definitively say that, but definitely one of the stronger episodes of Dynamite. I'm looking forward to next week. I'm looking forward to those 2 title matches, and I'm looking forward to more of what we got tonight. Going to the comments, MJF returns at Dynasty, ? Very likely, I don't want to say likely, very possible.
That's a speculation because he used to be in a group called Dynasty, and that's why everybody thinks they've picked this name. Kind of how tonight was big business. It was a very obvious play at Mercedes Moné. So that has been the speculation, the scuttlebutt, if you will.
Good word.
Thank you. Shout out to NCIS for teaching me that. Matt, as for you and on your overall thoughts of Dynamite, I know you didn't necessarily agree with the way that they introduced Mercedes and then had her come back out, but she is here. I do think, they did a good job, even if you didn't like the way they went about it. So what were your thoughts on just Dynamite as a whole?
Oh, it was still a really good episode. I think I enjoyed it even more just talking about it. I think in the moment I wasn't enjoying it as much as I probably should have, but
we're infectious here. We just spread the love and the positivity.
You're a little cynical, watching, if you don't mind me saying, you really go look at things through a critical lens. And I'm not saying that's a bad way to look at it. Yeah. It's just the more, you are a little newer to the podcast. And as I've learned more about you and the way you watch things and consume it, you do look at things very critically.
Yeah, I wrote less notes tonight. I think the one thing I wrote that I didn't get to say was I thought it was really funny when Willow took that senton bump. As soon as she landed, she went to adjust her gear, but stopped and realized, I have to sell this like that. She's about to get it. She's like, no, and then she quietly and non-inconspicuously adjusts her gear afterwards. And brava, Miss Willow, brava.
Hey, man, sometimes that delayed pain is real.
I get it. It was enjoyable. And the ladies, basically everyone delivered tonight. There were some very big highs, and there was some, mid spots. I don't want to say lows. But
Jericho.
I most enjoyed Jay White, and the ladies killed it in the main event. And, just want to see more of that. You can be excited about next week. There's nothing not to be excited about next week, especially after a good, solid show tonight.
Yeah. And James, I know you're kidding about Jericho, but if the lowest point of your show is the part of the show that's supposed to be the lowest point of the show, that's a pretty fucking good show.
I agree. I agree. We just acknowledge it for what it is.
Yeah. And again,
that's all.
It did its job, and that's all you have to say. It wasn't supposed to be perfect. It wasn't supposed to be amazing, blow your pants off type of good, but it was good. It was good for what it was supposed to be.
But if it was Hookhausen, it would have been perfect, and they completely blew it.
Our also new close personal friend, Danhausen.
I want it on the record. I met Danhausen. Well, Rev and I saw. No, we saw Danhausen this last week at House of Glory. He killed it. I met Danhausen last year in Chicago, and I asked him about Hookhausen, and he just said, "I don't know. They don't know what they want to do with us. We're not a tag team, but we're also not a tag team." So as close to an answer as we're going to get. But I also don't think we're ever going to see Danhausen on AEW TV again.
Well, he's over on Ring of Honor at the moment, right?
And I think that's where he's going to stay.
Yeah, and I think that it works for him down there. People love him, and it's unfortunate Tony just couldn't figure out the fuck to do with him on AEW proper. But if he's gonna do better work in Ring of Honor and actually work, then let him do better work and actually work.
No, I completely agree.
I'm sad.
Also, Loki way taller than you realize.
Yeah.
Right? He was. Because I explained this when we met him. He's always all hunched over with the cape and everything. He was standing straight up and down, and I'm 6'2", and he was almost my height.
Somebody fact checked me, but I'm pretty sure he's also a pretty accomplished martial artist.
Yes.
He's a pretty accomplished mixed martial artist.
Yes.
So more than meets the eye to this guy, but
good guy.
Always a pleasure.
I really enjoyed meeting him. But all right. that was the show. So I'd like to thank everybody so much for watching us here at the Mark It Down podcast. If you're on YouTube, we appreciate it if you would like and subscribe. Liking the video helps us know that you're enjoying our content. Subscribing allows you to come back and come and get more stuff. Also, I know a lot of you on Twitter tonight, so if you're on Twitter, you can follow our Twitter account, and I'll give out the full handle in a second. But follow us there, and we are usually live on Twitter as well. But we do have a little more stuff on YouTube, so we recommend that you come and subscribe here. We are live every Wednesday after Dynamite. You can also catch the Gym Pack Zone on Thursdays. For those of you who enjoy Impact, you can hang out with James and watch after watching TNA. We also have Danny's Raw Fast Forwards on Monday, and we're trying to gear up and do a little more SmackDown as we get closer and closer to WrestleMania. It is obviously WrestleMania season, and I'll be damned if Tony Khan ain't counter programming it pretty well right now.
Everybody bully Matt in the comments and on our social media to get him to do SmackDown. Boo, Matt. Boo earns Matt.
Yeah, and then obviously we cover pay-per-views as well. We will be here both nights of WrestleMania, and we will be here for Dynasty. James, I don't know when the next Ring of Honor pay-per-view is, but are you going to be covering that?
Probably not, because I probably will be there. It should be Super Card of Honor in WrestleMania weekend.
Yes.
So
right.
we'll see. If I'm not there, I will cover it, but there's a strong chance I will be there. So
okay, well,
you have to do it live.
There you go. There you go. Live on the scene.
Or even better, you can follow us over on our social medias, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And I'm sure James will be posting content live from Super Card of Honor. And throughout WrestleMania weekend, I think most of the podcasts, except maybe me, is going to be down there. So you'll be getting what?
You're never not going to be there because you're in my heart. So
I know, but I'm not physically going to be there. So
we'll talk about it after the show.
Yeah,
you'll probably be getting a lot of content over on our social channels from them over the weekend. So you can check us out on Twitter at marketdown_pod, on Instagram at marketdownpod, or if you're on any of the other channels, or you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, where you can also catch us. Our YouTube is youtube.com/marketdown3665. We're also trying to get the TikTok up and running. I don't have the at the moment, although I'm sure Producer Boy's going to yell at me in the chat, so let me go look. But the link is in the description below for all of our social media stuff. If you are on YouTube, if you're over on Facebook, there is a link tree for us in our bio, so you can click that and get us that way as well. So if you guys have anything else before we go, your silence says
Deuces.
No.
I was gonna just look up the TikTok real quick.
Nah, it's cool. They can go.
We got it.
They can click the link in the description. So for Matt Gascon and James Santi, my name is Nick Cummings. Thank you so much for watching us here at the Mark It Down podcast. Have a good night, everyone.